Now, this story is not an easy one to tell, but it has to be told.
There's no other place than a 15, 16-year-old with a fishing pole would rather be. Plenty of fish. It's just a nice place to get away.
Yeah, he was 15 years old. He was just a fun-loving kid. He loved to catch a good fish and be able to come home and brag about it.
It was early spring. It was a disaster waiting to happen.
Brian and Billy went fishing out here on this lake. They got out in a boat with no life preservers, and apparently one of the boys fell out, and after one of them fell out, the other one tried to save the other, and they both drowned.
They were found in 21 feet of water, less than 5 feet apart.
I lost my son and his best friend because they weren't wearing a life jacket.
As a father myself, I can only imagine what Mr. Rowland has gone through. It's just a tragic situation.
I can honestly say I have never felt pain like what I felt with this. It's totally different. It's emotional, it's physical. I want to spare the next person from having to go through this.
The day after I read that accident investigation report, Brian Rowland called me at work, and he had a story to tell. To
try to take a negative from my loss and make it positive. And I hope that the next two children and the next child, the next father, mother, or whoever goes fishing will use their head, not take any chances, and be safe.
There should be no difference in safety on a farm pond, Cave Run, Harrington, or Lake Cumberland. You know, people fear the bigger water better than they do the smaller water. The smaller water will get you just as quick.
Life jackets save lives.
Honestly, I think both of them made a bad judgment. I know that my son knew he was wrong for getting in the boat without a life preserver. He knew he was being unsafe. I'm sure he thought, well, I'll be careful and I'll get by with it today. But the thing of it is, you never know when the accident is going to happen, at what moment.
87% of all boating-related fatalities are death by drowning. On a boat, you are required to have a properly sized wearable life preserver for every person on board. If you are under the age of 12 or have someone under the age of 12 on board, they are required to wear it at all times that the boat is in motion, if they're in the open portions of the boat.
Definitely, if there would have been some type of personal flotation devices available, we might not be here now. It's something that through our efforts of working on the weekends and every day during the week, we try to prevent things like this happening via safety inspections on vessels to ensure they have the proper safety equipment, life jackets, fire extinguishers.
They took the chance and they didn't come back.
The message is the same. The message is the same now as it was 30 years ago. We're driven, that we're motivated to continue to try to get out there. We've got to cause people to think about safety around the water.
I just hope that people will listen to what I'm trying to say.
Now, it took a lot of courage for Mr. Rowland to come forward and help protect others from this sort of thing happening. You know, with today's life jackets, there's no excuse for this sort of thing. You know, be smart. If you can't swim, always wear a life jacket. Now, there are times, you know, when the boat's running, you should be wearing a life jacket. But you know what? Let's go back, Sergeant Anderson, and talk about how things used to be and how they are now.
Well, we've kind of got these laid out from the past to the present, and probably moving toward the future here. Everybody, when you say life jacket, this is what people think of. This is the old type of life jacket. We've got a couple varieties here, but these are the old life jackets. They're hot, they're uncomfortable, not real cool looking either. This is not one of the things that you wear to impress your buddies. This is the kind of stuff that made life jackets unpopular in the past.
But if that's all you got,
if that's all you got,
and you can't swim,
this will save your life pretty much every single time if you've got it on. This is a version of a more comfortable, thinner, not as hot but still warm life jackets. Hard to imagine putting something like this on in July and August. And then you move into these inflatable life preservers. And I know that as an officer in the field, I wore a life jacket like this. Our officers, all of our officers in the field are issued life preservers like this. And I'll tell you, it's easy to put something like this on in the morning and forget you've got it on until the end of the day. They're just not uncomfortable, and they do all the work for you. You don't have to, there's different varieties, but this particular variety is auto-inflating. If you go in the water, this is going to inflate you, and it actually provides more buoyancy than any one of these does, more flotation.
Now, again, you're not required to have one on. You're required to have them in your boat, but especially if you can't swim, why would you be on a boat in an area where you could follow it? If you can't swim, you need to have one of these on at all times.
You have to think of it like we all think about our seat belts on our cars. And nobody thinks in terms of, well, I'll put that seat belt on if I see that I'm about to have an accident. Right. We put that on in case we might have an accident. Same thing with a life preserver. It's not going to help you if you're not wearing it. If you put that life jacket on when you get in the boat and you have an emergency, you wind up in the water, whether you can swim or not, whether you're injured or not is another question. This is going to save your life.